So I respond to him, and this is where I'm going to get into a little detail. This is going to be a long. I apologize to you guys. Live and let live. That's what I quote him. And I state, I am a science educator in a state where 72% of the population doesn't believe in biological evolution. Okay, I live in Alaska. 72% of the people in this state reject evolution. An overwhelming majority of people, if allowed to vote on it, would ban the teaching of evolution and enforce the teaching of creationism, young earth creationism. Okay? Now, McFuckNugget lives in Ontario. I think he lives in a region where almost the exact opposite. Over 70% of people support the teaching of evolution, support evolution, whether or not they're theists or non-theists. There's no chance that in Ontario creationism is going to be forced into schools, where creationism is going to be taught. In my state, it's a real possibility. It is something that every year there's bills proposed. They luckily have been shot down. I have personally done public presentations on why the teaching of evolution should be required, why it's important, why biology cannot be understood without the theory of evolution, how it ties together these concepts, that by denying our students knowledge of the theory of evolution, because the common thing is to just drop evolution, now not put creationism in, but just say, well, let's not teach any of them. That's a very, very common kind of a non-confrontational way that these creationists are getting their ideas through. But the point that I've made in my presentations, the way I put testifying in front of school boards, is that without evolution, our students will not be able to compete on the national stage. They will not be able to go on competitively. That's the argument that I've made. And I like to think that my testimony, my presentations helped somewhat. There's lots of other people much better than me also doing the same thing. So I'm not at the head of this, but I've done it. So I'm not just some fucking internet douche out there making these ponage videos against creationists, because it's funny. It's real and it's in my life. I hope you understand that. It is a real, substantial thing that I have to face. And I'm going to I didn't get into this with McFuckNugget, but a couple of points. Several years ago, when my oldest son was still in high school, a teacher, a science teacher, a biology teacher, they were dissecting a sheep's brain, I think it was, or kidney, some organ of a sheep. They were dissecting in class, and she was marveling about the complexity of the structure and saying, and you know that some people are so dumb they think that this just happened by accident. When every time you look at anything you look at, any organ, any structure of the body, any animal, you see proof that God made it. And my son said, well, my dad is he's an evolutionary biologist. And she said, well, then your dad's an idiot. Okay. So ultimately, I got a lawyer. We didn't end up going to court over it, but we were willing to. The lawyer was willing to go to court over this because this was a public-funded science education where young Earth creationism was being, if not pushed exactly, but being implied as the only other alternative to biological evolution, which was dismissed as ridiculous. Okay, and ultimately, my son ended up changing classes, and the teacher was told to stop doing this, and she agreed to. I'm not sure how that. I mean, he was out of that class, so I don't know if she actually did or not. That's a very real and very substantial thing. You see where this? Okay. Another incident that happened that my subscribers probably have heard too many times, so I'm not going to get into great detail about it, is that a young Earth creationist, so I was teaching a college class called Historical Geology, and in that class I didn't cover young Earth creationism as a viable concept. And that's all. I mean, I didn't mock it. I didn't say anything about it. I just didn't cover it. And I assigned a chapter of the textbook to read, which we didn't even go over, on biological evolution, because it was a geology class, not a biology class, so we didn't go into evolutionary processes. I didn't feel, but I thought, be familiar with this chapter, read it. Because I assigned that chapter, one of the students filed a complaint against me, and I had to go before the dean. I had to go into the dean's office with 2 other administrators and plead my case because my job was in danger, because this student had said that I was mocking her religion in class. Okay? Again, my career, my field, my area, the life that I've built for myself through hard work was in danger because one of these fucking creotards didn't like a chapter I assigned her to read. Okay? It's, again, real to me. This isn't fucking abstract thing out there in the world. This is something that affects my daily life, my family. So I go on in this comment. You are lucky to live in a province where acceptance of evolution is just about the inverse of where I live. Do I take the low road at times to blow off steam? Yes. Okay, I admit it. I admit that my style of video making sometimes hits below the belt. Okay, I lower myself because it's fun to do so. All right, I don't claim any higher. I recognize that that's oftentimes not the best approach. But again, it's blowing off steam for me. But I put in parentheses, although look at your comments. Don't claim you don't do this as well. I read a month-long exchange with No Way. So what this McFucknugget did for an entire month, daily exchanges with this a YouTube fundamentalist Christian No Way creationist, where guess what he did? Very, very dismissively, insultingly, calls him an idiot, calls him names about him being a creationist. In other words, he did in a comment version exactly what I do in my videos for an entire month. Okay, and this was just 3 months ago. I mean, this wasn't like a long time ago. This was reasonably recently he did this. So, and I'm not saying this as a tu-coque fallacy. I'm not saying, well, look, he did it, so therefore it's okay that I do. That's not what I'm saying. The point is that he is an absolute hypocrite for slamming me, calling me an idiot and a moron and a loser, and telling me to get a life for addressing young Earth creationists, especially in an insulting ponage fashion, when just a few months ago he did exactly the same thing. Because, and I know I wouldn't knock him for doing that. I've done the same thing in comments as well. But the point is that he's doing it for the exact same reasons that I'm doing it. Okay? He's doing it because it's fun. He's doing it because it's, whatever. You're in an argument. Somebody makes a claim. You can't just let it sit there. You got to respond back to it. Okay? He's not on some higher level of fucking internet thing than I am by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, and I'm gonna go on and read his response. So here's how he justifies that. He says, my ridiculously long discussion with No Way was not one of my finer moments. It was a waste of my time, and in doing so I lowered myself. But you're making these videos pwning religious fundamentalists for their irrationality is hardly any better. So in pointing that out to you, yes, perhaps I took the dickhead route. But nonetheless, it was not an act of hypocrisy on my part. It was out of genuine concern for you. For you will surely get nowhere, I assume, with creationists. The best way to get rid of the fundamentalist mentality is to education children young on science. As you said, teaching biology in the classroom and from within the paradigm of evolutionary theory, the proper way. Focus on that. Don't bother trying to pwn these religious folks. You won't change their mentality any more than counseling an individual with a disease like schizophrenia will do any good. In other words, the whole initial comment, the "you're an idiot," whatever comment, was for my own good. It was for my good. He was actually, as a more experienced, wiser person than myself, letting me know that I'm just simply wasting my time. And yes, perhaps he was a little harsh when he did it, but hard love, kind of a thing. That's how I interpret that comment. Which is, first of all, again, fuck you. You're a fucking undergraduate. And I know lots of undergraduates, no disrespect towards them, but you don't know anything yet. You don't know fuck you for being fucking patronizing to me, you're a child. You're fucking 21 years old. You're less than half my age, all right? But it is an act of hypocrisy on your part. Why you can't see that? Well, because you're typical. Again, like I said in the beginning of this, you like to throw shit. You don't want it thrown back at you, okay? I'm going to take a shot in the dark that you don't like to be criticized at all. You don't take criticism very well. I can see it. I can see in the tone of your responses that you don't take... Okay. And what pisses me off about this the most is that I do take criticism very well, actually. Believe it or not, I do. Look at some of my friends are people that are very, very critical of my position. I've got subscribers and people I consider to be friends who completely disagree with me on almost everything. And I enjoy their critiques. You could have approached me. You could have made a comment on my video or a comment on my channel page, telling me that, yes, indeed, whatever, but your approach to dealing with these people isn't really the right way. I've learned through experience that it's not, or whatever, okay? And I would have said, okay, well, I disagree with that, and here's why. And we could have had a good exchange. And I probably would have subscribed to you even, just to keep your contact or something like that. Because I enjoy criticism that makes me better at what I do. All right? You jumped in there with this, you're an idiot, calling me names, and then suddenly backing off when the attention's turned on you and going, oh no, I was only helping you. I was trying to help you out because, whatever. I was trying to be, whatever you're doing, which is because of the fact that you realized you fucking poked a bee's nest. At least that's what I think you have realized. So, again, McFuckNugget, just fucking go to school, take your fucking classes, view your professors, recognize that you're much better than any of them. You're much better than almost everybody that you know, I suspect, aren't you? And whatever. And, yeah, fuck off.